guys. So I just came back from buying some coffee in Mug and Bean just across the road from me. Well, I didn't buy it. I got it with my Vitality points. I always do that. I never buy the coffee. But I needed to get some air. I'm busy working. I needed to get some air. And as I walk out of the gate, because I walked there, right? As soon as I get out, then one of the security comes to me. And the security in my complex is so chilled. They are nice guys. They don't harass. They're respectful, kind, smiling. You know, what you need in your security. So I was surprised for them to greet me. And the guy says to me, not to greet me, they always greet, but the guy goes out of the gate and says, "Yo, mama umuhle," you know, and obviously I said, "Thank you, this is how I was dressed." It says, "The boys inside cannot stop talking about you." It's like, okay. I'm like, you know, I've cleaned up today, because usually when I walk out, I'm in my athleisure, so I'll always be like in tights and a top and techies, you know, to go for a walk or whatever and stuff like that. So it really made my day. And then the guy says to me, "Please do come back soon and safely." So I was like, "No, don't worry, I'm just going to the shop, so I'll be back soon." And then I came back and they were like, "Oh my God, you're back," and, you know, made a fuss and everything. And it was so nice, you know, it just gave me that nice energy, because yesterday I was going through, it wasn't a bad day, but I remember the evening I had to process some emotions, and that is what inspired today's video. So welcome if you're just watching me for the first time. My name is TK Hlongwane, and today I want us to talk about emotions, how I process my emotions, you know, how I was raised and how I grew up, you know, being raised not really to be vocal about how I feel. And I think a lot of people can relate with that, especially in the Black community, especially my age group, 40s and maybe even 30s, where now we see the Gen Zs and what's the new one, Gen Alpha. They process emotions, and they are very vocal about the emotions that they are, you know, feeling. And I know parents who are my age group are most of the time they try to, what is the word? I don't know what word to use, but basically encourage their children to say how they feel and everything like that. Because I think if you're not someone who talks about your emotions or whatever, a lot of the times you're not able to express how you feel, you don't have boundaries and all of that kind of stuff. And then it's not cute when you grow up and then you're going through stuff because you cannot talk, and you feel like your emotions are not valid and everything like that. I was raised in a way that, like I said, like emotions shouldn't be shown, but also when you don't show emotions, you're seen as stubborn, and that's how I was seen, because I wouldn't really show emotions. Even today, I think my calm demeanor comes from being raised that way, that a lot of people always say they don't know where they stand with me, and not because I'm not this lovely, happy person, but I don't know how to explain it. How do I explain it? Because I'm not always vocalize what I feel, because I don't always think it's necessary. Not every situation needs me to give it that airtime, you know what I'm saying? But I'm learning that, okay, some situations I need to talk about, others not so much, you know, and everything. And yeah, growing up, I was seen as stubborn. Like, I was raised in a household where being punished physically, like, you know, kakwakwa, like a shambok, was very normal. Back in the days, my siblings, the young ones, have no idea what we're talking about. My sister and I definitely experienced that. And, you know, if we get hit, I would literally just sit there until it's done. Like, basically, are you done? Without giving attitude. Well, I hope I didn't. But that was me, you know, like, okay, let's get it over. And I'll cry about it maybe days later, because I'm crying because you didn't give me a chance to explain myself. Maybe I feel like your punishment didn't warrant the deed and all of that kind of stuff. And as I grow up now, I cry easily. I cry over movies, I cry over everything. And also, it doesn't help that I'm an empath. I don't know if I developed being an empath or it's something that I was born with. But you know what, I need to work. So we're gonna come back later. Well, you're gonna see just in a few seconds, hopefully today. I want us to unpack how I process emotions, and I'd like you guys to actually talk to me in the comment section as well. But do you struggle with emotions, or have you gotten better where that is concerned, and everything like that? And how self-aware are you? I think I'm pretty self-aware. There's very few things people can tell me about me that I'm not aware of. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm aware, I know that I have a passive aggressive personality kind of thing, that I'm working with. If I don't want to do something, and if I know you are someone who is very bossy and everything like that, instead of saying no, I will act out that I'm not going to do it. I remember a few months ago, my sister was describing someone. It's just like, yeah, she's like you. She's got that thing where you're not outright not do it, but say you're not going to do it, but your actions will show that you're not going to do it. And I chuckled because my sister will never just outright say you're like this and that and that, but she'll say these side comments when you're like, I know, and I realize that I'm aware of that and everything. But yeah, I'm so glad that those guys put me in such a good mood that I can talk about this, because I've been meaning to do this. And yesterday when I was watching Sip and Talk, which I'll tell you guys about later, made me realize that actually some of the things that I watch are some of the ways that I'm able to process emotions or allow myself to cry if the tears don't want to cry. Anyway, I'll see you guys later. Let me work and then let's do this later. How cute is this girl? I'm so cute. This is my work fit. You know that moment when you realize, this is making noise, you realize that the night is still young. The day is still far from being over. So I thought I'll be done working at 5 o'clock, right? But yeah, my day went longer, and I just got a WhatsApp message from my line manager that shows that my day is gonna be even longer, because I need to get this done so that tomorrow I'm not stressed. So I am trying to cook my dinner and then also finish my work at the same time. So that means that we will only do this thing about emotions tomorrow, and that's one of the things I need to be able to deal with in life, that there'll be curveballs and how to react to those curveballs. So yeah, it's challenging, but we'll get it right. It's part of adulting and working at the same time. Let me not burn. Sharp, see you. All right, so it's a few days later, and I've only been able to get time now to complete this video, but I thought it was such an important conversation to have, because I think as adults we don't speak much about emotions. We always think that we have it figured out, or we think everyone has got it figured out, therefore we should also have it figured out, and that's not always the case. It's usually not the case, okay? Because if you don't have tools to help you, when it comes to emotions, or if you are not even aware that you're suppressing some of the emotions, how that looks like is that you bursting on your children, on your partner, on people at work or whatever, funny things like that. Luckily for me, I've never done that, because I think it's just my personality. I'm not like that, but I know I can be boiling inside where I'm feeling so hurt. And emotions, remember, it's not only about anger. I think we focus so much that, we talk about anger, but anger, I think, is like one of the last emotions that show up when you're feeling disappointed, you're feeling upset, you're feeling anxious, and all of that kind of stuff. So I've realized over the years that, girl, you don't talk much. I always actually reflect on myself as being a duck, right? So the whole thing with the duck, they say the ducks look calm over the waters as they paddle, but underneath they are going so fast, and I think that is definitely me. You will not always see what I'm going through, because that's just in my personality not to show it. However, I want to be able to deal with it in my own corner. You know what I'm saying? When I'm going through the most, I'm not one of those people who want all the attention on them, For example, I was just looking a few weeks ago, there was a whole thing with the Sadiqis who their house burnt down and stuff, and people had opinions of them showing content and whatever. That's like really not the conversation today. But I realized in that moment that even though I'm someone who creates content, that's probably not the content I would have taken. And if I did take the content, I would probably only show it later, not on the day, maybe weeks, months later. Hence, whenever I go through something, people will only find out about it a lot later, like months, years later, that I actually experienced something like that. But that's my thing. And I don't want, I remember seeing that night they had their church, because they pastors coming over to pray and everything like that. Me, if something like that happens to me, please don't do that. That's the last thing I need. I don't like that kind of attention. I want to process things. And when I'm ready to come out, I'm going to say, yes, reach out and check. You know, what I always say, ask what do I need. I remember when my mom passed away a few years ago. And I had friends, because I've always lived alone, except like when I was married and when I was going through whatever difficult challenges. But generally, my adult life, most of it has been me staying by myself. So when my mom passed away, you know, I remember the one friend asking if she should come stay over with me for the week, because I was like driving to Pretoria every day, to Mamelodi rather. I was still staying in Pretoria. And another friend said, oh, maybe I need a change of environment. I can come and stay by their house. And I was like, no, I don't need that. You know what I'm saying? And then one friend said to me, what can I do to help? And that is something I appreciated, because then I knew what I needed that maybe I cannot do for myself, or not fully in the capacity that, you know, I would usually be able to. And I find that's what I prefer when people want to support me. Being all over me in my space is the worst thing you can do for me, because then when am I going to get time to process? When am I going to get time to be emotional? You're going to look at me and think, why is she not crying? For instance, with my mom's funeral, I did not really like hectically cry. Obviously there'll be tears and everything like that, but I literally she passed away in November of 2011, and only in Jan of 2012 I processed what had happened. The nightmares were coming and all of that kind of stuff. But while I'm going through something, I'm gonna go through it, and then after that, the after effects, I'd be like, oh my goodness, I've just gone through that, and it would be quite hectic for me in whatever sense. But that's just basically how I cope in life, because sometimes people will force you to have emotions and say, oh, don't act strong. It's like, I'm not acting strong. The emotion you want me to display right now is not there. I don't switch it on just because the situation is what it is. It will come in its own time, you know, in its own way. You know what I'm saying? So that's me. That's how sometimes I process emotions. But one thing that I realize in the last few years is that I also process, or my emotions are able to be expressed through what I watch on TV. So many years ago, I remember we watched a movie with my ex-husband and the eldest daughter at the movies. We used to love going to movies, or well, they did, and just played along. But it was a big thing watching movies, and we would go and watch movies. And this one we watched called Via. I see it's now on Showmax. And I remember watching this movie. It's a local production, and it was basically this guy. The opening scene is this guy coming from KZN and going to Joburg. You know, the typical scenes where someone gets mugged and everyone they try to trust does them dirty and everything like that. I cried in that movie, and I remember my ex-husband going, "It's not real." I said, "But this is a reality that other people are facing." And he was like, girl, bye. You know what I'm saying? I remember our daughter laughing at me like, really? You're crying because of this? And I mean, there's even other movies we'd watch at home in our bedroom. And there's this one, I forgot the name of the movie, but that movie made me cry. It made me cry, because for me, as someone who's an empath, who, you know, empaths, we feel, we feel energy, we feel people, like it's just a whole lot of feeling. And we empathize with people. Like if you tell me a story about your life, it's gonna hurt me more that happened to you versus the same thing having happened to me, if that makes sense. So I would just cry and say, no, people have gone through this. It's so hard and blah, blah, blah. It's not fair that people go through that, and it's so wild. But that is me expressing my emotion. It might be about something else that may have happened to me that I have suppressed. I mean, there's a lot of things that, you know, have challenged me in life, and you close it up until someone mentions their own life, and then you like, why are you touched? Only to realize that it's just easier for me to express my emotions because of someone's story versus my own, you know. Another example is I discovered this show called Sip and Talk by Dineo Ranaka. If you know Dineo and you look at her not from the eyes of the media, but just what she is able to do, is that she's good in creating dialogue. She knows how to create the right conversation where you can go deeper in the conversation, and I respect that that about her. So I watched this. I binged it on it for like 2 days straight. I think it has like 10 episodes what the show is really about, you can check it out on Showmax. It's about, they bring popular people, celebrities, and there's different topics that that group is going to deal with. And it's usually 2 to 3 people who's going to be like almost having a conversation about something that they've gone through. So the first one was about being divorced. So it had Zwai Bala, it had Mona Monyani, or I forgot her name, and Tabiso, the guy who used to be on Generation back in the days. And they talked about their experiences with divorce. And the next show was about being widowed. And basically, so they had Ayanda Nwani, they had Simpiwe Ngema, and this other lady called Nkanyiso, I forgot her surname. And these ladies were basically talking about being widowed by someone who is in, you know, the public eye. So someone who's just as popular as them and everything like that. And then I was so triggered because I remembered that my biggest fear when I was married was being a widow. I was so scared of being a young widow, like youngish, you know, while we're still in our prime, that, oh my goodness, so many things used to go into my head, how the family is going to be the day the guy, he dies, and what will happen to the children. Am I everyone just going to be, you know, disregarded as if I didn't play a part in, you know, raising these children or whatever? Those the things that used to stress me. You know, so obviously hearing these ladies talk about the experiences of being widowed and everything like that really got my emotions going. Obviously the ones for divorce as well. Then there was another one where they spoke about addiction. Mainly it was drugs and different ones. So they had Trevor Gumbi, they have Vusinova, and they had Moby Dixon, who's a DJ. And I was like, this show would be so good for people who've got teenagers and young adults to watch, because these are celebrities and going through life realities and expressing them in such an authentic, real way, and having someone like Dineo Ranaka having that dialogue and stuff like that was just so brilliant. And I found in those last 2 days when I was watching it, I felt like all my emotions just coming out, and not crying, but you know, when you're teary, when you're reflecting a lot, when you're thinking about different things, how you would have acted in different situations. And that's why I love reality shows. I used to be one of those people who think reality shows are just work, and people who would watch reality shows maybe were not serious about life. Now I'm like a reality show junkie. I love reality shows because they make me reflect. I always wonder, who would I be on the group? How would I act? What would I be labeled as? Would I change my personality for ratings? You know what I'm saying? For popularity? Would I remain the boring person that I am, which is not a lie? I'm pretty boring. Would I remain this person? How would I try to survive the game? You know what I'm saying? Who would I be an alliance to or with, you know, in a reality show and stuff like that? Because for me, I'm always reflecting to say, who am I in situations like that? How would I be reacting and everything like that? So yeah, that's basically me, you know, when it comes to expressing my emotions. But I'm so grateful that growth means being able to see where your areas of opportunity are. What can you do better as a person? Can I tell people who hurt me that they hurt me? You know, I'm from church today, and the topic for the month is trendsetter, and one of the main, obviously in a Christian Christian what? I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but as a Christian, that's what we were talking about being a trendsetter. But then the topic for today was standing out, and one of the things that the pastor mentioned was about tolerance. And you know, when you don't want to stand out, you tolerate everything. So he says tolerance is hatred to self. That got me, you know what I'm saying? Because I realized that when I'm not expressing how I don't like how I'm being treated, how things are, how inconvenience something is, or you know, I'm not happy about something, it's me tolerating that act. And I have tolerated things in my life, that is for sure. I've tolerated different things in my life that I shouldn't have tolerated, but that was a part of me that hated me. And I know we don't want to express, you know, we don't want to admit it, but it's self-hatred. It's who we find ourselves with is an expression of us saying we hate ourselves. When we tolerate things that we should not be tolerating, it's us hating ourselves. And we're not taught that enough. And tolerance, we're not talking about not tolerating another human because of their race, their background, or whatever, that's different. But the things that you know are not aligned with you, things that you know upset you, things that you know make you uncomfortable, and not in a good way. You know, that uncomfortable way you're like, I shouldn't be here, and you tolerate it anyway. It is self-hate. It's self-hatred. And that really spoke to me because I've been aware of that there's certain things in my life that I should not have tolerated, that going forward I definitely will not tolerate. And I'm so grateful to be in that part of my life where I realized that you don't have to tolerate anything just because you want peace, because peace on the outside does not equal peace in the inside. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you just need to let them break, and then build again. You know what I'm saying? Unlike tolerating things that you shouldn't, all because you want to, the status quo to continue and things to look good when actually they are not. It also made me realize that a lot of the reasons why I did not like expressing myself growing up is because I didn't want rejection. And rejection from parents, rejection from peers, because if you reject, if you say you don't like something, a parent is human and they can say you're not abiding by the rules of this house, or you're not my child for acting the way you are doing. I'm sure you as a parent might have uttered those words, because we're like, whose child is this behaving like that? So you comply as a child because you don't want to be rejected. You don't want to stand out as someone who's going the opposite direction to that which your family is going towards. You know what I'm saying? And as I grow up, I'm like, it's fine, let me be rejected. You know what I'm saying? I've become bolder in saying what I like and what do I not like. And I'm so grateful to see that, you know what, I don't think I'm gonna have this completely figured out, but as I grow, I'm just gonna get better and better. I've made some notes as well. I've also realized that one of the things of me not expressing myself was also the fear of not wanting to disappoint others, the fear not wanting to be seen as reliable. You know what I'm saying? And I think it plays a part in me being the loner that I am, because the less I deal with people, the less likely I am to disappoint them, the most likely I am to be relied on. I don't want to be that person that when you needed them the most, they were not available. You know what I'm saying? So almost like if I'm the last thought, then it's fine. I actually went through a period where I was so used to that. We're like, okay, no one sees me here, so whatever. Obviously there's people in my life that I matter to, and they will always reach out to me if they need anything, which I appreciate. But I'm glad not to be the first point of contact for the majority of the people in my life, because then I'm unlikely to disappoint them. It's a messed up thought, you know what I'm saying? So I'm owning it as I talk to you guys, but that's just basically how I've really seen myself to be. And it would be interesting to find out from you guys, how do you process your emotions? Do you process it? And are you mindful of how you process it? When you say things that may be hurtful to others, are you mindful of that? I used to be fluent in sarcasm, and as I grow up, I realized that okay, it was based on the environment of being sarcastic. If you are, whether it's school or background, when you're around a certain kind of people, maybe even race, you realize that sarcasm is very normal. So growing in multiracial schools, then you get exposed to different races, and some races are generally more sarcastic. So you pick up on that, and it becomes like your what is the word, defense mechanism, even though you say it so lightly and so smiley that it does not seem like that until someone else who picks it up that, ooh, you're being sarcastic. And then it becomes some part of your personality that even when you're not meaning to be sarcastic, it comes across like that. I remember many years ago, I've got an ex that always says my fave, very early in the days, like 2006. And this guy absolutely adored me, I remember our breakup hurt me so much, because I had never been treated that way ever. Even today, I don't think I've ever been treated the way this guy used to treat me, like premium, and not much, 8 years older than me. And I was in my 20s then, so he was in his 30s. But my point is, so one day he picks me up. I didn't drive at the time. He picks me up and we go for a drive, right? And then he says, "Oh, I've put this playlist together for you. It's basically about us, reminds me of us or something of that sort." And I was like, "What? You made a playlist for me?" That's all I said. Then for the rest of the day, the guy was upset. I think he only told me the next day that he was upset because he thought I was being sarcastic. And I was like, no, I was not being sarcastic. I really was genuinely shocked that you put a playlist together for me. That love expressed in that way has never been shown to me, therefore. I was surprised, you know what I'm saying? So even though I wasn't being sarcastic, someone who had noticed that I'm genuinely quite sarcastic was like, I bore. Are you being sarcastic now? But I realized that it was a defense. And also those who, because as a human, I've noticed that I can be undermined quite a bit. It can be a strength sometimes because whatever I do that people didn't expect, then they go, what? We didn't see that coming. So I think sarcasm has been one of those things that I'm like, oh, they don't see me coming. So by the time I answer, then people are go, what? Did that come out of her mouth? Because no, she's mute. She shouldn't be talking. She doesn't talk. She's a sweet girl. She's whatever, and everything like that. So yeah, that's basically where I am in this journey of life and trying to express my emotions and understand who I am, understanding how I act in different environments and everything like that. Yeah, I think that's basically it. I'm sure there's so much more that I could have uncovered where this topic is concerned, but I remember going through this during the week and thinking, my goodness, emotions are quite something, and we should not suppress them. They are there so that we express and then dig deeper to find out why we were triggered by certain things, you know what I'm saying? So that we can just make maybe better decisions going forward or, stuff like that. Anyway, that's it from me. I hope you've enjoyed this conversation. I really would love to hear from you guys in the comment section to let me know how do you express your emotions? Do you think you express them? Are you suppressing them? And what are you learning that, maybe you can help the rest of us to understand and do better where expressing our emotions are concerned? And if you are a parent, do you encourage your children to respectfully express their emotions? Because we know there is that other side where, the kids, especially if you are raising Gen Zs, they can be quite disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? So do you find the balance for them to express themselves, but also to do that in a respectful way? All right, that's it from me. Thank you so much for watching. And let's comment, subscribe, and share this content with others if you think it will be of value to someone that you absolutely adore. All right, bye-bye.